Is the flood judgment described by the Israelites credible? What evidence is there? Hello everyone, I am Angus. Welcome to the third episode of Josephus Jewish History. Let's take a look together at how the Jewish people view this world-class apocalyptic event, the true origin of Noah's Ark and the flood. Let's talk about the descendants of Adam. The Cain lineage is an early product of industrial civilization. They invented metal instruments, built cities, and pursued glory, technology, urbanization, and conquest. The Seth lineage originally maintained the tradition of reverence for the Creator. But by the seventh generation, perhaps these two worlds began to merge. Technology, art, desire, and violence mixed together, filling the earth with brutality. The Bible mentions that at that time there were Nephilim, who were giants and embodiments of violence. They saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves. This passage has profound meaning in the original text of Genesis 6. The sons of God are the descendants of Seth, while the daughters of men are from Cain's violent line. However, in the book of Enoch, Jewish Antiquities, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, another interpretation appears. These sons of God are fallen angels who rebelled against divine order, fell in love with human women, and had relations with them. Their offspring are the ancient giants, tall, strong, and highly intelligent, but they oppressed the weak, disturbed order, and ultimately plunged humanity into violence. They even taught humans alchemy, weapon making, astrology, and other forbidden arts. The Bible says, "The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." Behind this statement, there is actually a hidden cosmic physical structure collapse. Genesis chapter 1 mentions that when the Creator made the world, he divided the waters into two layers, the upper layer above the firmament, and the lower layer consisting of the seas and springs. This corresponds to the rupture of the upper firmament, where the water canopy like a sky curtain breaks apart, causing rain to pour down and waters from the deep abyss to surge forth. This is not ordinary rainfall, but a collapse of a cosmic hierarchy. Earth becomes a sunken planet, a judgment that all of humanity cannot escape. But among all people, one received the favor of the Creator, Noah. The Bible describes him as a righteous man of his time, who did not partake in the corrupt marriages nor compromise his faith. His name in Hebrew means rest. Noah was not only a righteous man, but also a scientist, a carpenter, and an astronomer. He was given a task to build an ark to ensure the survival of his family. So how large was this ark? According to the book of Genesis, it was 150 meters long, equivalent to an aircraft carrier, 25 meters wide, and 15 meters high, 3 decks. This was not only a super large wooden structure, but also the first biological preservative in history, capable of accommodating various life forms and preserving genetic seeds for the future world. 1,000 years later, British botanist John Ray, inspired by the Genesis idea that all creatures are of one origin, first proposed the concept of species. He believed that all descendants of a pair of male and female animals created by the Creator, regardless of outward differences, belonged to the same species as long as they could interbreed. Just as all humans descend from Adam and Eve, the definition of species should also be centered on reproductive capability. Thus, the ark not only symbolizes rebirth after the flood, but also nurtures the fundamental classification concept of modern biology. God's command to Noah, bring into the ark all kinds of clean and unclean animals, classified by species, a male and a female of each. Clean animals such as sheep, cattle, and pigeons should be brought in 7 pairs for food and sacrifice. Unclean animals such as pigs, leopards, and lions should be brought in only 1 pair for ecological restoration. This is not a zoo, it is a complete small ecosystem. Today we talk about biodiversity. In fact, Noah's Ark has been doing this for a long time. Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, each took on the mission of the 3 branches of human civilization. Later, their descendants would form the ancient peoples of Asia, Africa, and Europe. Before the flood, human lifespans were very long. Adam lived 930 years, Methuselah 969 years, Noah lived to 950 years. This is not mythology. Genesis chapter 6 states, "When man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." This was a new setting by the Creator for future humans, a limitation, but also a form of compassion and grace. There are also many scientific hypotheses. The high oxygen environment and enclosed water cover before the flood may have slowed aging. Their morals were purer and their life rhythms were closer to natural laws. The high longevity also allowed them to summarize astronomy, geometry, law, agriculture, foundations of all human civilization. Therefore, we say that these ancient humans were not primitive, but observers and recorders of the universe. Almost every civilization has a legend of a great flood. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, the Indian Manu flood, the Mayan myth of the water catastrophe, and even in China, the records of Yu the Great controlling the floods in the Shanhai Jing and Shangshu Yaodian exist. Floods are not only real, but also a shared memory and trauma of humanity. When the floodwaters burst forth, the ark drifted for 150 days. The mountains on earth were submerged. But as the waters receded, the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat. Noah first released a raven, then a dove, until one day the dove returned with an olive branch. That was a sign of peace. It was a revelation of the new world. The first thing Noah did after leaving the ark was to offer a sacrifice. He took a clean animal and burned it as an offering. This was his reverence and gratitude to the Creator. This act echoes the Chinese character Yi, righteousness. Yi means I am under the sheep. I am willing to sacrifice a sheep to restore the relationship between humans and the Creator. This is not coincidence, but a resonance deep within civilization. Look again at the character Quan, ship, composed of the components do, boat, 8, and mouth, which perfectly represent the 8 people on the ark. Isn't that also very coincidental? The Creator accepted Noah's sacrifice and established an eternal covenant. I will no longer destroy the world with a flood. I have placed a rainbow in the clouds as a sign of my covenant with you. Do you think the rainbow is just scenery? In fact, it is a symbol that the Creator's weapons have been put away. He says, I have lowered my bow, remembering my covenant with you. This is not a fairy tale, nor a myth. It is a mirror of history and a warning bell for humanity. Today, as we look back at this story, we can ask ourselves, are we now becoming the new generation of Noah? Or have we lived to become giants of that era? Let's discuss in the comments. Preview of the next episode. We will follow the descendants of Noah's sons to see how human civilization was reshuffled after the flood. Why was language fragmented? Who built the Tower of Babel? How was Abraham called from the dust? We will uncover the true origins of tribes, nations, and faith. History is not just about the past. It is about how we choose to remember it. I am Angus. If you like it, please like, comment, and share. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.